we get to work. So we got a 2008 Mini Cooper S. We're gonna do this really annoying thermostat. I'm gonna show you a couple of ways to make it easier on yourself. Do it pretty quick. So the thermostat's located down there. It's really tough to see from here, but you'll see it when we get this stuff off. Alright. So first things we're going to take off, we're going to get this air filter intake. We're going to get this intake tube taken off. We're going to get this line out of our way. We're going to get our air filter housing out of the way and move our computers. Remove our expansion tank and this intake hose here. Okay, there's actually a couple little tricks here that I was going to do all in the time lapse, but I might as well tell you. So, for one, back here, holding on the air box, there's one T25 Torx. Right there. That's going to stay in the air box in a little grommet. And then it's just other little grommets that hold it in. Pop your air hose off. Away. This pulled up and out of our way. Alright. You take the expansion tank out. So there's a 10mm, and then you want to take off your expansion tank hose. I already took that off. And then when you take this out, you want to lift it from the bottom outward and then up off the little tabs, because there's this little guy that holds it in down there. A little clip right here. Use a little screwdriver and push it back. And then you can pop your expansion tank off. Take that, set it out of the way. At this point, you would have a pan under the car because you need to catch all that coolant that's falling out. But we should be able to easily get this out of the way. When I took this off, I noticed right here at the bottom of it, you can see that it's cracked. And this thing is just old. But because of that, we're gonna replace this pipe to make sure that we don't have any air intake leaks. Also, this hose is connected right here, and it's got this little clip on here. And in order to get it off, you just got a little tab to release right there. So when it flips in place like that, you take a little screwdriver, pop that tab and pull that up, and then you can pull the hose right off. 2 clamps, and that's out of there. And now we can shed a little light on the situation. So now you can see that green coolant right there underneath the thermostat. So the thermostat goes back and connects right there. Am I on it? See that silver clip on the big pipe right there? That's gonna be the biggest headache, getting that thing off. Well, actually getting it off's not the headache, it's getting it back on that's the headache. I'll take my bent needle nose pliers. Go in from back here. You can pull it up, wiggle it around a little bit, and get it out. Getting it back in is tough because it doesn't go in like this or like this. It actually has to wrap around this side of the pipe and click in, which is really tough to do in that confined space. But you'll see how I do it. Thank you. Jesus. Got the cover off. Now we're going to disconnect our connectors here. By pushing down the release tab and sliding back one at a time here. Now this part is not necessary, but it will help because it'll make your life a little bit easier with a little bit more room. There. Oh, twist out. Right. Okay. Pop this connector right here. Alright, so we got these out of the way. Nice and loose. Now we can move this out of the way. And we have one connector here. And one right here. We're going to take those electrical connectors off. I'll probably take this one off too, just to give us a little bit more room. And then this came from another shop, so this is not in place, but there are a couple of tabs on the bottom of this harness. I don't know if you can see or not, but they sit in here to keep the wire harness properly routed. That's why this is all janky and loose right now. So I'll pull those two connectors. This one's a little tough because the clip is on the front, or on the underside. So if you can take a little screwdriver and push it from that side, all you have to do is connect with this tab and move it up, or in this case, down, and you can pop that right off. And then that's about all the movement we're gonna get from that. This is just two vacuum lines. So I'm gonna take these two vacuum lines off. So these two lines are kind of keeping us from being able to pull that out. One goes right here. One goes right here. And I'm just gonna pop those off so that I can get that out of my way. There's no clamps on those, so all you need to do is use a pair of pliers. Gently slide the hose off without tearing it or breaking anything that it's attached to, if it's not metal. A lot of plastic on these cars. And everything should go pretty easy. Get that out of our way. If it's not going easy, probably not getting done right. Process to everything. So now you can see wire harness is up and out of our way. We got our thermostat right here. Broken pieces from the last shop. Now we're gonna start taking our hoses off. Since we already got our clip out, do that first so it's out of the way. And then we're gonna start just pulling these clamps. Getting them back. Get out of here. Start pulling hoses off and coolant's gonna flow. Tuck this one usually somewhere. Tuck it back in there, get it out of your way. Same with this one. Let that drain down into the bucket. Okay. Hopefully that's a pretty decent view. These other clamps off of here. Now, all these clamps are going to get replaced. We're not going to reuse these spring clamps because they lose their tension and they become less dependable. We don't want to have a leak here. And this pain in the butt spot to get to after we've already repaired the leak here. A little jiggle, they should come off pretty easy as long as people aren't putting crazy shit in their systems. As I eat my words. Forgot that one is a little tight because of this hose right here, but that's okay. Get her off. And then the last hose we gotta remove is the one that comes up here, connects to the expansion tank and goes up to the turbo. That one's actually already got a clamp on it. I'm gonna replace that clamp too, just because I don't like it. It's a bad clamp. Oh, right on the tip of my pliers. Off. I'm gonna need a little more movement on that pipe, I think. So I'm gonna take off the pin. So removing this pipe, there's some O-rings or crush rings up here, copper crush rings. You have to replace them. If you can't replace them, don't take this pipe off. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So on the front of this, there's a banjo bolt for the coolant. There's one copper ring here, stuck to the bolt, but there. So, as I was saying, the banjo fitting on the turbo, copper crush ring onto the turbo. If you can't replace those with the correct size, don't take this pipe off over here. You will have a leak. All right, now we only have 3 10 millimeters. One's here, and one's over here. 10 milli on a little extension. One's right back here. You can't really see it, but you can feel it. One screw. All right. 2 screw. And 3 screws. So at this point, our thermostat is fully disconnected. It's ready to come out, but it's still stuck on the block a little bit. It's gonna pop right off. And this little pipe back here, that's gonna be your hang up. So when you take it off, make sure you don't jiggle it around like crazy. Be careful with that rear plastic pipe. But see how that pipe's jiggling a little bit? I'm just gonna kind of work it right out of it. Give it a little jiggle. That pipe back there is pretty secure, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But either way, like I said, you don't need to force anything. There's that pop. Yep, that's broken right there. And this O-ring is like jelly. The thing's not sealing anything anymore. Look at that. Like bubble gum. Pull our old seal off. And that's thermostat out. Alright, so our next steps, we got our gasket surface here. I'm gonna take a fresh, clean, brand new razor blade and just use it flat and scrape right along the edge here. I don't even know what that is that's all over this, but maybe somebody put some bad coolant in at some point. So I'm just gonna go flat right along it, all the way around. Scrapey, scrape, scrapes. Clean our gasket surface. Alright. And then we're gonna check this pipe back here to see if we can find that broken piece or anything that's gonna upset our gasket surface. That's this pipe right here. So, see how there's some mucky muck in there? I'm gonna grab a rag and just wipe that out, get it nice and clean, so that when our new O-ring here seals on it, we don't have a piece of debris or something get in the way and cause another leak. Obviously it has been leaking there. Alright, so now that we got our area all nice and cleaned up, we're ready to go in with our new parts. We got some blue grease here, some nice thick heavy grease. I'm going to take a bit of that grease, not much, just a little. Stay out of my way. And I'm going to put it around this part of the pipe. Get that O-ring coated, the plastic on there. Sometimes there's restriction and these can be a bitch. This helps a lot. Plus this stuff will help to make sure that there's no leaks and it won't screw anything up like silicone or something. And it is worth noting that on the bottom of this thermostat there's a little plastic tab right here. There's also a little notch in the bottom of this pipe here, and those have to match up. And that's kind of a pain, but you'll see how to do that here in just a sec. Alright, so as we put our thermostat in place, we're going to put it in the pipe in the back first, make sure that goes in. And then grab one of our 10s. Push the pipe in first and see if we can get it to click kind of in. It's not going to click, but you'll feel it seat. And while I'm doing that, I'm watching this hole because it's the only one you can see. So I'm making sure that's lined up and trying to make sure my gasket surface is lined up. And that's going to help me line up that little tab on the bottom that I was talking about because you can't see that. So oh, there's my little notch, my click. And we're just perfect on there. So I'm gonna hold the thermostat, hopefully it'll stay for me. Get on there. Get that first one started there. That's just going to help us locate and keep everything in place. We're still in our pipe back here just fine. So I'm going to go with the next easiest screw to get in, which is going to be this one, because I can kind of feel it. You can't really see it. Where's my little hole at? There it is. Give the thermostat just a little shake, like a little rotation to help you drop that screw into its thread hole, or threaded hole. Screw that in until it's a little bit tight. Then we'll go back here to our last one. Find the hole. I think we're on it. That in, all right. Everything's nice and in place. So I'm gonna grab my 1/4-inch ratchet. Do a little snuggy snug, evenly, if possible. It is possible, so kind of work your way around it. Feel the tension, make the tension even. Come back over here. And this one I'm going to go all the way tight on since I know the thermostat's seated. Feels pretty good. Go back over here, straight across. That feels pretty good. Our last one right up top. That feels pretty good. All right. Our thermostat is roughly installed. Now the hard part, we gotta get that clip on. This is where taking the air intake out of the way really makes a difference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try, I don't know if you can see it or not, but hopefully you can. All right, so I get my clip lined up. Put the little tab in on the back side. Oh my God, it's in. Rolling the clip back a little bit. And we're in. Oh my God, I can't believe it. That was the easiest I've ever gotten one of those. In order to get the view. I got my arm down here, the light up here. And if I'm all the way over here, we can just see the back of the pipe to line up the clip. Hard parts are over. Now all we gotta do is put everything back on, replace the clamps, replace the crush rings, refill it, bleed it, drive it, and make sure there's no more leaks. I have ingeniously mounted my camera clipped to a pair of pliers sitting back here so I can have a good view. Alright, so I'm gonna start from the back, work our way forward, because that makes life easier. So it's important to remember the way that you want to put your hose clamps on. You want access to them for next time and for this time to tighten them. And you don't want them to interfere with another one. So that is a nice location for this clamp. Guten tight. Next up, this one over here. Okay. I think you can see those. Hopefully you can see those. Those are pretty. Next we're going to do our turbo line. So like I said, I'm replacing this clamp and this clamp on this line. Lined up on our 10mm mount. Pop my 10 back in here to mount this hose. Tighten up our 10 here. Oh, wrong way. expansion tank. There you have it, Mini Cooper thermostat. Now all that's left to do is to bleed the coolant. So we'll refill the reservoir and get down there. See that little plastic Phillips? That's our bleeder screw. So you want to loosen that, leave it in there, just loosen it, and refill the coolant. Let the car run a little bit until you get no air coming out of there and just coolant. Close it up, go test drive it. Turn your heater on, make sure you've got coolant flowing through your heater core during your test drive, and you get heat out of the vents to confirm that you don't have an air bubble in the system. Bring it back in, double check it, make sure you don't have any leaks. Should be good to go. Thanks for watching.